2 Novembers ago, I went out and bought this sled that's behind me. It's one of the worst purchases that I've made in a while. On the timing side of things, I bought this at the end of November, which is definitely not a good time to buy anything right before the season starts. And when you buy something used like a snowmobile, they're always abused. What I'm going to show you are some of the top things to look for when buying a used snowmobile. Generally, they are ranked on how much they cost. The number one thing that has to work when buying a used snowmobile is the engine. It has to run on both cylinders, especially if it's a 2-cycle. You can't assume that the carbs are dirty, whatever the excuse is by the previous owner. You can bring a compression gauge with you, but without hearing it run and doing a lap around the yard or down the street, you won't know if it's running properly. Now, if you end up buying one that is running poorly, chances are that it could be either low on compression in one cylinder or it has a crank seal that's out of it. Either case, you're looking at a full rebuild. On this purchase, the snowmobile ran very well before putting it onto the truck. Once I got it home, it was just the car boots that were cracked. These boots are made of rubber, and over time they'll crack and develop air leaks. The one other thing that you have to look at is the track. The track is one of the more expensive items on a snowmobile. What I should have done was brought a jack stand and a brick or something to lift the back up and go through each lug row by row. In my case, there was a section of track that the lugs were completely ripped out and plastic was hanging out the side. And it just happened to be in an area that I couldn't see. In order to get the track off, you also have to pull the chain case apart to get the drive sprockets out. I had discovered ahead of time that the chain case didn't have any oil in it, which was something that's very hard to check on a snowmobile that has a battery, typically right in this area. Then behind here is the dipstick for the chain case. I would have discovered there's no oil on it and just a big porcupine on the magnet. I was able to buy just the top gear at the time that was damaged. My speculation on this is that the previous owner had issues with reverse. Chain case had been apart because the lower bearing was installed the exact opposite direction that the factory book calls out. Due to how they had it installed, allowed all the gear oil to leak. One of the next red flags is the electrical system. On this snowmobile, the hood plug was melted, and it's no longer melted because I repaired it, but it had been sitting on the exhaust, which lays in this area. What I speculate happening is the previous owner had crashed the snowmobile and the hood obviously collapsed and the wiring laid on the hot exhaust. The handlebars were spliced in and twisted together up underneath this cowl area. I ended up repainting them back into the factory connectors and getting everything working. Another thing I noticed after getting this home was that the headlights were very dim and the rear light would not work at all. I put a new regulator in and that fixed the issues with the lights. One of the last things to look for that can be kind of expensive are the cosmetics. Having a nice hood, a seat with no rips, and handlebars that aren't bent up, and plastics that are in good shape is always a plus. In this case, cosmetically, this thing looks fine. There's some fade in the plastics that should have clued me in that it sat outside for some time. The hood paint is a little bit faded, but I know now that it came off of a different sled. On any vehicle like this, there's an identification tag. On a snowmobile like this, it's on the tunnel. As you can see, this was originally or is a Formula Deluxe 600, but the hood is an MXZ 600 off of a different year. There are a bunch of other things that just don't matter. Like for instance, if the runner on the bottom of the ski is worn out, as long as the ski isn't damaged It's fine. It's a wear item. As far as all the wheels go, just assume all the bearings are bad. Assume you're going to have to replace the slides. Um, Not only are they easy to replace, but they're also low cost. So after doing all this work to this old sled, it really didn't set me back a whole lot of money. It was mostly time, being that I was doing the work myself. It'll be almost 100% this year and be perfectly reliable. Admittedly, this was a bad purchase, but I didn't really have that much invested in the beginning. I paid about $1,600 for this unit, which was probably $800 more than I should have paid. The track was about $500, and the screwing around with getting a drive axle, locating the correct upper chain case gear, and just the rest of the wear items. It set me back probably close to $1,000, but I'll have all the items up in the description with approximate pricing, and you guys can see that I didn't come out too bad. So this is a little bit different than four wheels, but if you guys enjoyed this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thank you.